Hello everyone, how are you? Happy 2021. We made it to 2021. I'm happy, I'm rejoicing with you, I'm glad with you that we were able to make it through such a turbulent year. I'm just so grateful and so happy that 2021 is here. I pray for you and yours that 2021 will be a much better year. And even if 2020 was a good year for you, I pray that 2021 is an even better year for you. So yes, I'm so glad. Happy New Year to you and yours. And welcome to my YouTube channel, Dr. Iyabo Webzo. 2021, by God's grace, I'm going to have a lot of content for you on my page. Everything still about business and wealth building and entrepreneurship, and everything about relationships and dating, single life and married life. So anything that has to do with your money and with your honey, you will find on my page. So make sure you stay subscribed. And if you're not yet subscribed, push the button now and subscribe. And please share my channel with your friends, because I know many women are really loving my channel. So share it with your friends, and please look out for my videos. I will be posting 2 to 3 videos a week like I have been posting. And if there's any topic you'd like me to talk about, to chat about, please let me know. Just drop it in the comments now and let me know, and I'll definitely work on it. There are a few topics that some of you guys have asked about: how to save up money to buy your own house, my nighttime skin routine, and those are definitely coming. But today, I wanted to come on to discuss a topic with you about interracial love or interracial couples in America, I guess, because I can't really discuss interracial couples in Nigeria or another country. Well, I live in the US, you get what I mean. And really, growing up in Nigeria, I was mostly around black men and black people anyway. This interracial terms and phrases really just came into my consciousness when I came to this country. So I really wanted to touch on it because I know there's many single women out there who follow me on Instagram, who are also subscribed to my YouTube. And I know there's many of you that have questions about, what does it feel like to date a white man? Or how does interracial coupling work? How has it been with my blended family? How have I been able to, adjust to all of that? So I definitely wanted to do a video on it. I know it's not a topic that many people feel comfortable discussing, but you know me, I will tackle the hard topics, and I'll make sure I do it as respectfully as I can. Obviously, not everybody will agree or concur with what I say, but I wanted to start it off by saying that God really doesn't see color. If I could get rid of one term in the dictionary, it would be interracial, interracial family or interracial couple or interracial love, because we're all just one race, really. So I think that we humans cause our own problems. And I guess it's fine, because we have to have a way of describing couples that are not the same skin tone, right? Because really, all it's about is that we just don't have the same skin tone. Everything else is the same. We're all complex human beings who were brought up in different backgrounds, different family values, different religions, different rules, different outlook on life. And we all just are a product of our environment and our genetics and all of that. But, and that's why I named this video what I named it, because at the end of the day, love is love. Whether you're dating a white man or a pink man or a green man, no matter what the color of their outward skin is, what really matters is who they are inside. So I really wanted to do this video because, a few, not a lot of you have questions, but a few of you have DM'd me about how does it feel to have a blended family? How does it feel to date a white man? Some of you have given me stories of how you haven't been successful, that it's been really complex for you dating a white man, and, because you just feel like you don't match or you don't blend. So I really wanted to do this video in the beginning of the year, because again, I know there's many singles out there who are probably hoping for their true soulmate and their true love this year. And they see that I'm married to Neil, who's an Englishman. So he was born and raised in London, and I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. So he was born and raised in London, England. I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. And I was initially married to a Nigerian man from my same tribe, from the Yoruba tribe. We were married for 15 years. We were together for 23 years because we met when I was 17 and we were together till just before I turned 40. Neil was also married for quite a while to his ex, and he had 2 sons, I had 2 daughters. And as life would have it, we met, when I was, I believe, 47 and he was 54, because there's 3 years in between us, and then we got married just before I turned 50 and he was 57. So that's basically our story, but you would not believe that we have so much in common, even though he's white and he's English European and I'm black, I'm Nigerian, I'm African. We have so much in common. I started traveling to England from when I was little, from the age of 5 or 6, on summer holidays every single year with my parents because they owned a home in London. London was like our second home. So I really knew London in and out. I'd been traveling there every single year on summer holidays, maybe minus 1 or 2 years, but honestly, I don't really have the memory of 1 year that we didn't travel to London. We'll spend the whole summer holidays there and then go back to Nigeria. So I knew London like the palm of my hand. It just was, my second home. And then I moved there at the age of 23 after medical school, and I worked there for 5 years before I moved to the States at the age of 28. Lo and behold, Neil, in his previous job, now he owns his own company, but in his previous job, he had also done a lot of traveling all over the world, and he had visited Lagos, where I was born, 3 times. Not once, but 3 times. So when we met and he started telling me so much about Lagos, I honestly felt like maybe because he saw that I was a Nigerian girl, he went to study all the things, but then he told me he traveled there 3 times, and I'm like, what are the odds that we meet in middle age later in life and we know so much about each other's cultures? He knew so much about Lagos. He knew the names of the hotels there. He knew the roads, the Third Mainland Bridge, the food, jollof rice. And I'm thinking, this is why as humans, sometimes we have to be open and we have to give ourselves a chance to just allow God to bring us a soulmate, regardless of whether he's white or Chinese or Korean or Lebanese or whatever he is, because souls can match from any corner in the world. I mean, I didn't know that, growing up, that I would meet, a man. I wanted 4 kids from the beginning. I ended up having only 2, but God still somehow brought me to a man who had 2 kids, and I still ended up with 4 kids. But how would I have known that London, that I was visiting so much, there would be a soul from that London that would still come to meet me later on, not even on English soil, not on Nigerian soil, but on another continent. So, this is how souls match. And how did I end up here? Because I wanted to leave England. I wasn't happy with residency there, so my ex and I moved to America. How did Neil get here? Well, he met his ex in London. She's American. They actually met in London, and then they moved here for some personal family reasons, and then they got divorced here. So, and then how would I know that I would meet an Englishman who would know so much about my country, and then he would meet me and I would have all these stories about London and England? I mean, now we basically know, we kind of joke about how all the American words are different to all the English Nigerian words like trunk and boot, and the way we pronounce our words, and biscuits are really cookies and not biscuits are kind of like scones here. We have so much fun discussing all of that. We love watching movies with people with British accents. We search for shops in Atlanta where they have British chocolates and pies and all that. Right now, as I'm speaking, we have steak and kidney pies and chicken and mushroom pies in our freezer and English sausage rolls in our freezer. So, all the things that we talk about. So we just have so much in common. So much in common. And then I met his dad, and his dad was like a replica of my dad, but in English form. Honestly, Neil's dad is just like my dad. He's this very soft-spoken, humble man. He's 89 years old, And he just reminded me exactly like his dad, like my dad, all his mannerisms, everything. He's such a storyteller like my dad. So, we had so much in common. His parents were together. His mom passed away a few years ago. He was raised by parents who were together. I was raised by parents who were together. So we have all these family values in common and all these childhood memories and everything in common. How would I have guessed that? I mean, my ex, yes, and I say it with all due respect, he was raised by his mom. He was in communication with his dad, but he was primarily raised by his mom. So it's funny how you can actually have more in common with somebody whose skin tone is different from yours than somebody whose skin tone is the same as yours. So relationships are hard, period. Relationships are difficult, period. Dating is difficult, period. But it's difficult if you don't know the right things to do. And this is why I'm a dating coach, and I can help women figure out exactly what it is they're doing wrong in dating that is just bringing them so much heartache. But I really wanted to do this video because of this notion out there, especially for us Black women, because I'm a Black woman. Obviously, I know how Black women think about there's some of us Black women that are just so stubborn and so resistant to change and just to embracing people of other cultures or other skin tone, because they think that Black love is the only love they want. Black love is fantastic. It could be fantastic, but it could also be problematic because you just don't know. Love is about souls uniting. Love is about souls connecting. It doesn't matter. We place too much emphasis on superficial traits, and there's so many videos on YouTube talking about interracial love and interracial coupling and the complexity. And this is why I chose a different topic, just to give a different perspective that it's just love. Love is love. It doesn't matter what the color of our skin is. It doesn't even matter what our cultures are, because you'll be surprised that you actually have more in common with somebody who doesn't have your skin tone, who wasn't raised on the same continent as you. You don't know what story they have already lived, what life they have already lived from that time till date. You don't know what their family taught them. You just don't know, or you don't know until you know. So how about you just release it to God and say, God, these are the things I'd like to find in a man in 2021. I'd like him to be this. I'd like him to be that. I mean, for me, my number one trait that I had on my list when I wrote letters to God, if you're following me long enough, you'll know that I did write letters to God. I placed them in my Bible, in my most in the page of the Psalm that I love the most, Psalm 103. And lo and behold, God gave me 9 out of 10 of everything I wanted. But the first trait that I wanted was a man who had superior intellect, somebody that I could have intelligent conversations with, global conversations with, somebody who had traveled, who isn't just narrow-minded and only knows about the US and doesn't know about any other country or any other continent, somebody who doesn't think that Africa is a country and knows that Africa is actually a continent, somebody who knows where Nigeria is on the map, things like that. So those were the things I prayed for. Somebody who just had a globalized mind, somebody who knew that the world doesn't start and end in the US or start and end in his own country or start and end in Nigeria. There's just so many people who are just so rigid and just so narrow-minded, and all they want to know is people who are like them. And this happens in the Black and in the white race. So it's not just a white thing. There are some Black people who are just completely no, I just want to do this Black thing. I only want a Black man. I only want to support Black businesses. I only want to do this Black. I only want to do that Black. I don't think Jesus sees us that way. I don't think God sees us that way. God wants us to be the same one human race. We are the ones that cause all these divisions by ourselves, and 2 wrongs don't make a right. I understand that some of my Black sisters or Black brothers may be watching this video and they may think, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say, it's because you were not raised here, it's because you don't know what we've gone through. But at the end of the day, we have to heal from our hurts. We have to heal from whatever slavery brought us. We have to heal from all of that so we can move forward in happiness and joy. 2 wrongs don't make a right. It's like in a marriage, if you've been wronged by your spouse and you keep on keeping the hurts within yourself and saying that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Don't you remember what you did to me? Don't you remember? That's going to lead to a terrible marriage. It's going to lead to an unhappy, terrible, chaotic marriage. It's the same thing in the outside world. So at some point, we have to embrace people as people and see through this color of skin that we all place so much emphasis on. It's robbing a lot of us from opportunities in business and finance. It's robbing a lot of us from opportunities of growth emotionally and mentally. It's robbing us of love opportunities. I know there are many women out there who just absolutely don't want to date anybody who isn't Black. So, and then you say you're not finding love and you want love and you want that, but you have to be open. You have to release that to God and just focus on other traits that are not superficial traits. Yes, some of you may say, but you had on your list that you wanted a tall man. Yes, I did have that on my list because, God has a good sense of humor. I told him that I would like a European man who was tall. And I'm going to go into the reason why I asked for that, because some of you have asked me. There was somebody who sent me a question. You know who you are. You're probably watching this video that, why did you specifically ask for a European man? I did, and this is why. I'm a physician. Again, I say it humbly. I'm well-read. I'm well-accomplished. I live in America. I happen to live in the deep South in Georgia in America. I had a certain standard of man that I wanted to be with. Really, you have to know who you're going to be compatible with. I wanted a man who was well-educated, who had high intellect, but who also had a very globalized mind, because I'm a global citizen. This is the third continent that I'm living on. So there's no way I'm going to be compatible with somebody who the only place he's visited outside the US is Jamaica or Cayman Islands. It's just not going to work. Somebody who thinks that in Nigeria we don't have cell phones, or we live in huts, or my parents live in villages, or there's no way I'd be compatible with that kind of ignorance. So that was the challenge I faced with dating. So when I first joined Match, it was like, okay, who am I going to date here? Because all the Black men that were messaging me, unfortunately, they just were not. They were mostly like, the Black men that were not up to my standard intellectually. And I say this humbly, but you have to know what you're looking for. They were not up to my standard intellectually. I mean, I would read their messages and they couldn't even construct one sentence of proper English. And there were white men who did this also, who couldn't even construct one proper sentence of grammar. And I'm like, that's not going to work for me. You have to know what you're looking for. There were a few Black men there who may have been a bit more accomplished, but most of them were, athletes in the athletic field, or they were celebrities. Again, that just also, I'm sorry, texts are coming in for me. That just didn't work for me. So I just couldn't find a Black man that I was compatible with, that just was at my standard. And so it was hard for me to find a suitable Black man. And then on the white side, again, I'm in the deep South, say no more, right? It's like most of the men that I were meeting was Southern white men, and all about segregation and racism and all that. They liked the idea that I was a doctor and I was this and I was that, even though it would shock them that I had my own practice. I could just see it on their faces during dates, like, oh, you have your own practice? Really? Are you a partner? How did you do that? How come? Can people from other countries own? It was more like an interview. Every time I went out on a date with a white man who was from the South, I felt like I was just being interrogated. They just couldn't quite make sense of who is this Black woman with an accent, who owns her own practice, who lives in Buckhead. Buckhead is a nice part of Atlanta. It was just like, okay, is this going to be a date and fun, or am I just going to be interrogated every time? And yes, I did go out on dates with a few of them. There were a couple that I dated for maybe 2 or 3 months. There was one I dated for 7 months at the most, but you could just feel that sense of that there was just something not right. You could tell that they were just dating. Again, I'm a very intuitive, very smart, very, like I know what's going on around me. I could just tell that they were just dating for fun and they really weren't going to progress to something serious. Again, they may have liked the idea of me and who I was, but this skin tone probably was an issue for them. How are they going to tell? I mean, some of them would insinuate it in funny ways, like, I'm not sure what my daughters would make of it. Some of them who had kids, oh, I don't know what my parents would make of it. So I just did that over and over and date all these Southern men, and I'm thinking, okay, this isn't going to work. Having said that, I was in a relationship for 4 years when I first joined Match, right after my divorce. And that was actually with a guy who was raised on the West Coast. So, the mentality of some men from the West Coast of America or the East Coast of America are different. Some of those ones from the West and East have more of a global mindset. They're a bit more well educated. Again, I know this video is going to be controversial for some people, but I'm just sharing my story to help women, for you to understand, and some of you who've dated white men will totally understand what I'm talking about. So I went through all that back and forth. There was no suitable black man intellectually for me on Match that I could find. I just didn't, find them. And some of the ones that I found, just physically, I wasn't attracted to them. I'm not very attracted to men who are very bulky, who have like large muscles. There's some black guys for me that were just, there was just too much of the biceps and too much of all that going on. I like my men tall and lean, and men who just look nice in a suit, who are just tall and lean. I'm not sure if you know that kind of build. So, and for me, physical attraction is also important. So I went through all that back and forth. I did date the white guy I told you from the West Coast for 4 years, and that was good while it was good, but there were issues, and that we just broke that off. But after that, it was difficult for me. I just kept dating one white Southern man after the next, and it was just not going anywhere. And I'm like, I'm wasting my time. There was actually one, I think I've said it in another video, who I was chatting with on Match, and then he asked, I think he looked for me on LinkedIn. Yes, he kind of found me on LinkedIn using my first name. And then he sent me a DM on LinkedIn and said, oh, wow, you're such a great person, or something like that. Like, you're such a great person, but too bad you're black. He actually sent me that message, and I'm like, wow, this is racism 101. So basically, you're telling me I'm everything you'd like, but because of the color of my skin, I don't meet up with your standards. So, and then I decided to take 2 years off. I was just tired of all the back and forth and all the like, okay, this white Southern man after the next. I'm like, okay, time to take a break. I listened to a sermon at my church, and I remember my pastor saying, sometimes if you've been dating for so long, you just can't find who you match with, take a break. And I took a 2-year break exactly. And during those 2 years, I did a lot of research, a lot of reading and praying, and just introverting. And I started to understand that white men of European descent are more, they're more, what's it called? They like black women more. They have more of a global mindset. Europe is like, the people in Europe are better traveled. They're closer to Africa. They understand the countries in Africa. It's just, so I'd read many stories. I'd researched about a lot of interracial couples, this phrase that I don't like, and a lot of them were European men. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start praying a specific prayer to God to bring me a tall European man. So that's how that happened. So the lady who asked the question, I hope I've answered your question. And that happened. Honestly, it happened. I joined Match after my 2-year break. I joined Match back in November of 2017. And in January, not quite 2 months after I met Neil, he was brand new to Match. His profile just popped up. I'm like, that's a nice looking, tall, handsome guy. And of course, he has on his profile I'm 6'4" and I'm English. I'm like, oh, that sounds yummy to me. So I sent him the first message and the rest is history. So I actually made the first move. But after I made the first move and he saw me, saw my pictures, and we started chatting, then I sat back in my femininity and I let him start doing the rest of the chasing. And the rest is history. So this is why I really wanted to do this video. And then we started to learn about each other and we're like, look at how much we have in common, even though we were not brought up or raised in the same country and you're white and I'm black. So women, be open. Stop thinking about this thing as interracial. Let me tell you, if you marry a black man, it could be the most difficult marriage. You could marry a white man and you could have the best loving marriage, or vice versa. You just don't know. So rather than controlling it and controlling the situation, just kind of put it in God's hands and say, God, I'm open to this, but I'd like this trait, I'd like that trait, I'd like this trait, I'd like that trait. And he'll listen to you. But don't think that if every white man you date is going to be hard, it's going to be difficult because you're black and he's white and your cultures are going to clash and it's going to be trouble. No. If that was it, why is the divorce rate so high in black couples? Yeah, in America, the divorce rate in black and black families is extremely high compared to white and white families and Asian families and even interracial families. Black and black families divorce at astronomically higher rates than all other combinations. So that's food for thought for you. If really that was, the ideal marriage, then why is the divorce rate so high? Again, I'm not putting black on black families down. Obviously, I was married to a black man before. My parents were black, but I'm just trying to give you my perspective on why you may be staying single for a long time and finding it hard to find a partner. So I hope all the tips I gave on this video and just sharing my authentic story with you will help you in 2021 to just be able to find a partner that is your true soulmate. I hope all this has helped. This color is just color. It's just the pigment in our skin. Look for compatibility in soul and spirit. Look for somebody who was raised similarly to you, who shares the same values, same stories, similar ways of thinking, similar mindset, similar family background, all of that. That was another thing I asked God for, that please send me a man who was raised in a two-parent home and who had a father figure in his life. I really needed that after what I'd gone through in my first marriage. I told God that please don't send me a man again that was just raised by his mother, because I don't want to compete with another mother-in-law. I don't want to be the second wife again. Please send me a man who was raised by a good father and a mother in the home and who learns good family traits. So think of all those important things, write them down, pray to God for them, but don't be so rigid about I have to marry a black man. Or even if you're a white woman watching this video, don't be so rigid about I have to marry a white woman. I know many white women who are married to black men who have a wonderful marriage. So, we place too much emphasis on color. And my prayer is that one day in a very near history, that we'll be able to get rid of all this racism and all this prejudice and divisiveness, because we're all just one human race. So if I was to get rid of one word in the dictionary, it would be interracial, because I wish that people would just say that couple over there rather than saying that interracial couple, because at the end of the day, we're all just the same people. So again, I hope this video helped you. I do coach on dating. I do coach on relationships. I can coach you on how to position yourself well to be able to attract true love. And when you do attract the true love, how to date like a feminine woman who is a powerful, self-confident woman, and who, that guy will just totally just love and respect you. So if you do need help with dating and relationships, please sign up for my Live Well Now package. Just go to my website and sign up, driyabo.com. Or if you need coaching with business or setting up a new business, creating multiple streams of income, entrepreneurship, money matters, please just go ahead and sign up for my coaching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay subscribed, share my page with your friends, and I will see you soon with the next video. Take care of yourself, and again, I pray 2021 is a wonderful year for all of us. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.